first thought is, wow, 30 years, that's, once you start putting numbers to things, you're like, wow, that's a long time.
Tough to think that the company's only 30 years old. I remember hearing the stories about when Peter started the company and Philip was working and helping out when he was back in high school.
Dad had a home office before people had home offices. And one of my best memories is him just, when he would make a sale, coming out of that office and the kids being there and we were like, what? Everybody was excited. He's excited, he's screaming, we're excited. We don't know why we're excited, but it was just a pretty cool memory.
We always celebrate the sales. I do a little dancing and I can shake a mean tail feather.
OBR, that name means something to our customers. The majority of our customers are repeat customers. I mean, we've been working with Toledo Refining Company since I started in '96.
I was a manufacturer's rep, and the company I was representing said that they didn't want to do $15,000 jobs and lower. And that was a big portion of my income. The opportunity presented itself. I took it, jumped at it, and best move I ever made. Starting a thing in '94 and my career started in '75. So I had the experience. Like Lincoln said, I was ready, it presented itself, and I jumped at it.
And you can't get the big ones unless you do the small ones, right? Those customers that have the big ones, they also have the small ones. So you can't tell them, I'm not gonna do the small ones, only the big ones. You gotta do it all.
The dog that hunts is sales. Early on, I went to my customers and I said, look, I'm starting my own company. Would you go with me? And they said, well, sure. And then multiply that by about 20 companies. And they all said yes. And it went pretty smooth.
We would travel as kids in the car and Dad would be like, all right, you see a pig, it's worth, a quarter. You see a cow, it's worth 50 cents. You see a cooling tower, it's worth $1.
It was always interesting, definitely in the beginning, but we started on the Anthony Wayne Trail.
Which is one of the toughest neighborhoods going. When they had a fence around the perimeter, but when I was there by myself on Saturdays, I'd always lock the doors because these people are crazy out there.
So we're in a building with Ohio Building Restoration, decent, older, like brick building. They had a little small building that was like right next to them that they own, where they used to keep like their paint in. So they said, oh, you guys are growing more. Let's move you over there and like put some offices in there. Because I think my first office was like in the closet at their building. And when it would rain, they had the vents in like the walls and the water would bubble up and come through the vents, and it was like super humid in there. You'd be in there like sweating, and then you'd have to move like your desk around because the roof would be leaking, so you didn't know where to put your desk that day, but it was just Peter and I, so we would just kind of move our stuff accordingly.
It was always tough because here's somebody that started this from the trunk of his car. But back then, it was a very much an entrepreneurial, bootstrap business.
It was definitely an interesting place, but it was super cheap, and it got us through what we needed to get through. So we moved to Rossford.
That was definitely a defining moment, I felt like, for the company. They really were stepping up to the next level. They had a need for bigger space because they were growing. Every time I was seeing dots added on the map, it was another visual reminder how much the company's been growing.
As always, we want to grow, and we were never really good at forecasting. We were never really good at planning. We just went. And you talk to a lot of the people that are here. In the beginning, OBR, and Dad's the king of it. We shot from the hip. We just went and did stuff.
It's fun to watch it grow, but you got to be cognizant of the fact that what happened yesterday was yesterday. You got to do it again and again and again, year in and year out.
The company's got great leadership, and of course it started with Peter. The integrity is in our DNA, and we say what we do and we do what we say, and we kind of live by it, and we hold each other accountable in our organization from the top down.
His success doesn't happen without others' success. And other success meaning be rewarded in other ways too. Watching that and that being kind of the core of how this was all started, also in the mantra of, hey, we got great people and we got to take care of them.
Most of the people are still here. There isn't a lot of turnover, which I think is pretty amazing.
My dad's one of my best friends, and still to this day, he's still there every day. People love him in the office. He still has great insight. Today he brings the wisdom, you know. Hey, don't do that. We did that in '86 and it was a real problem, right? He's the king of that. So it's great having him around, and he's built a hell of a business.
I've known Philip for a long time. You know, we talk about family all the time and how important that is to our organization.
Peter had done a great job of setting the core values of the company. Obviously, Philip, being his son, has kind of transferred those values over to Philip, and Philip's upheld those values throughout the process.
Everybody has a family, and that should be first in your life. The core value of OBR is like to appreciate that. He's always treated everybody as family. Crew members, obviously when you're small, we started out, there was the two of us, and then we had like one crew. It's just that bonding that you create, and you get to know everybody on an individual level.
To have a company that's lasted 30 years, I think that really says something about the leadership.
I found myself trying to emulate Peter in some ways. You know, he's just a solid gentleman, treated people fairly within the organization and outside.
I saw him start it. I saw him do it out of the trunk of his car. I knew the work that he put in, and so you know, when you see a family member work that hard, you have to honor that. And so, apologize for getting emotional, but you can see that I grew up with it, and so I always respected that. And then he always gave me the latitude to go and do what I needed to do.
You know, your work is something that you choose, therefore make it your passion, and that'll serve you well. I made my work my passion. I made my family my passion, and that's what it's all about.
And so I thank everybody, because I know every employee here that's here, that has been here for more than 10 or even more than 5 years, has had tough nights. They've had tough days. They have put the company before themselves. And so I thank them for that, and I ask them to continue to do that, because that's what will continue our growth. It is the people that make this business. And without them, we're lost. I mean, one person cannot make a company, and there's 250 of them out there doing a great job every day. And I just want to continue that on.